Greetings, blessings, and welcome. Welcome on a voyage of discovery, joining myself, Colin Hayter, on a current project in process there upon the Giza Plateau. We're there in a fascinating study. We revisit many of the symbols and text left relative from the very day, the height of Egypt's golden age. Rereading many of those texts and symbols, a task not being applied for too many for too long. A great many still carrying the attestings of over 150 years ago, much since been learned. Here we are, Master Bars 7120, Master Bar 7420, Master Bar of Merry Ankh, Master Bar 7211, Master Bar of Meri, Easy, Master Bar 7150, Ankaf, Master Bar 7230, Khufu Ankaf, said Khufu Kaf, or Kaf Khufu. Revisiting these Master Bars, a tiny part in revisiting them all, the many, many hundreds there. But here, in this 15 minutes or whatever it takes, in this telling, we can look a little deeper into where it is this current project underway is leading things, unfolding for Egypt, a much more greater, more powerful history than we were first ever told. Revisiting pre-attested text and artifacts, much like walking on eggshells, takes knocking down some pretty tall poppies that have stood for a very long time. No offence intended. We can deal with some of those right now, starting with this one. Gone on into our modern sign lists as meaning things like king's eldest son of his body, born from the flesh of his body. Seen this way, allowed for a misconception that would lead every Egyptologist ever conceived down to the same old dead ends. Enter the Honourable Ankaf. It wouldn't be until 1956 and the American digs in the pyramid cemeteries of G7000, where there they excavated greatly 75110, the Master Bar of Ankaf, and there we learn more. 80 years after the first attesting of his name been mistaken, used for something else. No going back, no one went to look. Allowing not only Ankaf to be forgot, but his children in Neseri, seen there. His daughter in Merisank, the child of Prince Ankaf, all seeing this, thinking it meant the flesh of a king. Ankaf would never be king. First clues of the missing children of the Honourable Ankaf arrived to us in the famous Westgar papyrus, where there the three names of triplets are mentioned in the way of Useref and Zahora and Kaku, names that now in the revisiting Old Egypt's text, the Master Bars, we find mentioned once more amongst Ankaf's name. The names Useref, Zahora, Nefertari, mentioned there in 4th dynasty finds, confusing Egyptology greatly, throwing the time frames into great turmoil. Rightly so, in comparison to our known kings list, where these same kings been mentioned way back in 4th dynasty appear up to 9 rulers later upon the kings list. These 4th dynasty names mentioned in the Westcar Papyrus, leaving a vacuum of unknown informations, making for a mystery, a best guess of who was really who in old Egypt. The massive loss of not understanding Ankaf for his name, thinking it a mere sentence, nobody going back to check since, causing Ankaf to disappear near out of history. Today, Ankaf returns, returning back into our minds the memory of his children, of King Khafre, King Menkaure, in the names as Nasiri and Seheru and Kaku, Kawab, Khafre, Menkaure. Kawab, a first of the triplets born, seen in his Mastaba 7120. His fate been cut short, dying as a young man by sheer chance across his sarcophagus whilst walking on a busy footpath in a Cairo street after leaving the Cairo Museum in Egypt. Spent the time to read the words there, translate what it was I was seeing Kawab, eldest, wisest, prince. But importantly, reading there, Kawab, Ankaf's child, beautiful in years. Kawab, eldest, wisest of Prince Ankaf, another one of his. Rereading the text found around the Giza complex reveals a great deal also of his mother. Seen here, again, Mastaba 7120. Reading there, child prince of Meretiti's mother, gifting birth to his name. Before leaving the Mastaba of Kabah, we can be assured of his mother in Meretiti's Khufu. Also, we can assured of his father, read there as the Honourable Prince Ankaf. Joining Meresank in having her father seen there in her Mastaba, Ankaf, and her mother seen there in Hanetsan Meretiti's Khufu. Kabah noticed on the top left, Ankaf as father appearing in his, as it does in Meresank, her Mastaba, father of these children. The rereading of the great many texts and symbols found about the Giza Plateau applied that newer knowledge we can all own today, supplying remarkable results into knowing who was who. As next we move on to the next child in Sahuru. Khafre Sahuru. Taking in resources from many fronts. Important too are the relevant field notes from previous discoverers from long ago. Unveiling there the Horus name of Khafre can be read as Sahura, one of the names of the 3 children from the Westcar Papyrus in Nisasi, Seri, Sahura and Kaku. Immediately on entering the Mastaba of Khafre, indicators again become obvious. Prince Ankaf, beloved, mentioned there, said on the left-hand side, carrying great honour of the gods, holder of the royal seal. Prince Ankaf, beloved. Switching to the right side, foremost servant of the Natur, Khufu, is Khafre, shown there with his mother, the one who sees Horus and Zeth. Titles of Khufu, Meritites and Etsin. All about the Mastabar of Khafre. Khufu jumps to life for us. Seen there, Khafre, through Khufu, prince, was in the palace of the great lord, beautified, entering divine. And again, as with the other grown children, Prince Ankaf, beloved of Khufu, and Khufu, taking dominance, shown as parents of Khafre. In the place where once just a sentence stood, in the words of King's eldest son of his body, ridding the mistakes of the past, unites an entire family of Ankaf and Khufu, their great daughter Merisank, along with Khafre, Sahura, his Horus name, Menkuri, Kaku is his, and the boy that was never to grow to be king, in Kaaba, Horus name, Yukasef. We can all look forward to much more. As the project underway to reread the many texts and symbols around the Giza Plateau goes underway, ridding the mistakes of the past.